Hello, welcome back to It's Not Just a Tuesday, the podcast where we are talking about all things work, life, and the stories that connect us. If you have listened to any of these already, you know that part of the reason I did this podcast was just to get to talk to cool people and share them with others. And I am super excited to have Laura Khalil on today. Laura is a business coach who is my first and only business coach because she's just that good. She is really passionate about helping people hone in their business, make business work, do sales in a really authentic way, and also my favorite, really passionate about helping women really dive into who they are and their own power. So welcome, Laura. Thank
Oh
you for
my
hanging
gosh.
out with me.
The one and only business coach. Like, that is so
That's it.
sweet.
I never wanted
That
one before. I don't want one again. You're it. You're stuck
you're
with
like, you've
me.
got it. Okay. Well, you know what? That's what I love to hear because that tells me that like the work we have done and continue to do is very comprehensive.
Mhm.
And I just love watching your business, if I'm totally honest. And for those who are listening to this, like, check this woman out because
Aw.
it's seriously like so inspiring. And I'm sorry, I just need to talk about you for a second. I saw this
Okay.
thing on LinkedIn
I didn't
last
make
week.
her do this, by the way. We didn't talk
No,
about what we were gonna talk about. That's part of the plan is we don't plan.
we're already off the rails.
Yeah.
I saw something, it was it last week or the week prior, where someone had announced they were coming to work at your company. And I was like, I had shivers.
Oh, wait.
I was so happy for you.
Oh, yeah, I did just get a new little social media manager.
Yeah. Oh, you've already moved. You're like, oh yeah, of course, Laura, duh.
I forgot about that. She's great.
Right. But I saw that, and as someone who has witnessed your growth, I was just like, oh, I'm so fucking happy. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not supposed to swear?
Okay. And, we
Okay.
didn't rate this. No, I don't think any kids wanna listen to It's Not Just a Tuesday, so
Okay.
we're
I'll try to tone
and
it
my
down. But
son is not home, and I just won't show my mom this one. It's fine.
don't show, yeah.
I
Sorry,
love it.
mom.
I love it. No, because I was literally like, how am I gonna have Laura on without saying "giddy up, bitches"? I don't really know how I could have you on a podcast. Like, I already had this thought, so don't worry. I was prepared for this.
Okay, good. Yeah. So anyway, I was just so proud of you. And so thank you for having me here.
Thank you. All right, so tell everybody, now you just talked about me, tell everybody about you and what you do and this cool journey that you had to get here.
Yeah, so my business is really focused on helping service providers build a pipeline of bigger deals within the next quarter. I love to see service providers just absolutely killing it and doing really well without
Well,
necessarily having to rely exclusively on social media, although that is definitely a component. Like, I don't want to say like never do social media, but and learn essentially how to sell bigger contracts, sell bigger engagements, and do that in ways that are totally ethical and feel good for everyone and provide tremendous value to your new client. You asked me like, how the heck did I start
yeah,
this?
yeah.
Like, Andrea, to be honest with you, I never could have imagined this would have been my life ever. Like, I did not plan this. I was actually back in the day collecting an unofficial PhD and getting laid off when I lived in San Francisco. I could not keep a job. I worked in the tech world. I worked in very male dominated startups. I couldn't even watch that show Silicon Valley because it was like PTSD.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was very frequently told, you are intimidating men in the boardroom. You are too opinionated. You need to soften your language. I was actually put on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, that said I needed to be nicer to men and I needed to soften my language and smile more.
This is why we get along. I was on one of those.
Oh my gosh.
I got sent to this is a sidebar. We are off the rails, but this is why we're doing this. I got sent to a how to communicate with tact 3-day seminar. Yeah.
I'm like, I
I
can't
was
even.
like, wait, I thought I was good at communicating. That's what I love to do. Wait, huh? I mean, like, just
Right.
gut punch. Gut punch.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
It's like, how about they not be a ding dong? And this is what happens to really, and by the way, for anyone who's listening to, or watching this is such a common theme among strong, smart, successful women.
Yeah.
Is that when we're not in the right environment, we are often tamped down to be like put in our place, so to speak.
Yep.
So I didn't know that about you. So I just kept getting laid off, and I was never penalized for my work. People were always like, "Oh, you're like, we love your work. We just like, it's just, you as a person." And so I was like, cool.
Not me, it's you.
Yeah. And I knew enough. I don't know how I figured this out, but I knew enough to believe in myself. And I knew that I was not a bad person. And I said to myself, Laura, you cannot change anyone else. But the only thing I could change was the environments in which I presented myself in.
Yep.
And so actually on May 31st of 2013, almost 11 years ago from the date of this recording, I was laid off for the last time. And I said, F this. I can't change them, but I can change my circumstances.
Yeah.
And I said, this
Got
is the
goosebumps. Oh
calling.
my gosh.
This is the moment that I must rise to the occasion. I'm not a victim. And I am going to become a business owner. 6 weeks later, I signed my first $100,000 contract with one of the largest Fortune 500 companies in the world. Obviously, it's Fortune 500, who sells products that are in all of our computers.
I love it.
And when I worked with that client, I worked with that client for about 5 years. Did they ever tell me I was too loud, too much, too annoying? No, they said, we love how decisive you are. We love how you cut through the mess. We love how you bring clarity. We love how you get things done. And that's when I realized that all of the traits that had penalized me as a full-time employee were my greatest assets as a leader and entrepreneur.
100%.
So I say that to anyone who's listening to this right
So
now,
amazing. That's
who's
so
feeling beaten down, or who's feeling like someone's made you feel less than, go find another environment. Go
Yeah.
put yourself in a different room.
If you're listening to this and not watching it, I'm like all teared up and my nose is turning red because I'm trying not to cry, because that is like, that's so powerful, right? That's why I'm here, right? It's the reason that we are, we do what we call the hustle until we figure out we don't actually have to keep hustling.
No.
But that's it. It's what can you do to figure out how to make life really great and get to do what you love and not have to get rid of your story in order to do it.
Right.
I
And
have to tamper down anything in order
right.
to
And like how, exactly. Like you're not too much.
No.
You're not too much.
Mm-mm.
You are perfect.
Yeah.
And it's about finding the people who will appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I started speaking, public speaking in 2017.
Okay.
I was in the midst of my consulting career, and I gave a talk very similar to what I'm sharing today. And I was, just trying to help other women. And it was in that moment that I had women come up to me and say to me, I actually don't understand how you've grown a business. And I wasn't really talking about how to grow a business in the talk, but people just wanted to know about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to take on these people kind of as clients. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, okay,
Right.
well, let me just show you.
That's so how I started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just show you what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing this just like informally for many years as I was still running my business.
Mm-hmm.
And these clients would start to get results. And I was like, okay, yeah, like that makes sense.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, I had like a come to Jesus moment. I really did. Because I was doing a lot of public speaking at that time.
Yeah.
And my public speaking, like evaporated
Right.
overnight. And I was like,
public.
okay, yeah, there's no public. The public's gone. The public was gone for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, Laura, and I was turning 40 that year in 2020. And I was like, what do you really want to do?
Mhm.
Like, what do you really want to do? And I was like, what I really want to do is I want to help rebalance the scales of financial justice in favor of women. I really want to help women. And that became the kernel that is Elevate, which is the framework and
Yeah.
programs and training I have today to help people get those bigger deals. It started, well, way back in 2013 with leaving that job and began with the coaching in 2017 and then formalized in 2020. And that has led to what I do today.
So amazing. And I mean, it's really cool to me to meet people that I have no idea had had done Elevate or been a part of any of your cohorts. And I'm like, oh, your business is going well and you're doing this. And that language sounds familiar. And I'm like, oh, my coach says something like this. And when I worked with her, we did something like, oh yeah, I did Elevate in 2020 or 21, when
Yeah.
you first launched. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains why you're here. And it's funny, because a lot of times that happens because people work with you, they figure it out, business is going well, and then they get to me, right? Because now
Wow.
they're like, oh, the things that I was doing are working, sales is working, business is growing, we need some help with PR and marketing. Now we need to
Now it's
actually,
time.
now it's time. It's like, my whole life is figuring out what the chicken and egg, right? What came first, right? Do you invest in business first or do you market first? You invest in business first, right? And sometimes marketing's part of that. Sometimes PR and all of that is part of that, but one can't really come before the other.
Yeah, I agree.
So tell me, in this journey, right? You work with tons of women and you work with tons of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What, aside from, you know, rebalancing the scales and what you just said about the fact that you are enough, right? I love that. I don't know if you follow Elise Myers. She's got a big following on TikTok and Instagram, and she
Yeah.
she started this, if I'm too much, go find less.
Oh,
It's time.
wow.
She made, and that was the thing that she started saying to herself when people told her she was too much, and she just started saying, go find less. Go find less. And it's just,
Preach.
I hear this in the
Love
back
it.
of my mind all the time when I'm just like, man, wait, no. We don't work this hard to get where we are to then say you're too much. Like you can have less somewhere else or different. Maybe just go find different. That's okay. And
Yep.
learning what I've learned with you about there's a there's a nut for every bolt, right? There's
Yeah.
somebody that fits every client, has somebody that is ideal for them to work with. You don't have to chase everybody. You have to chase the right person for you.
Andrea, do you want to just take over my job? Because honestly, when my clients repeat back
Yes.
the things that they have learned, it truly it brings a tear to my eye because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's sticking.
It's a shift, right?
Hmm.
It usually, I mean, when I came to you was post-pandemic, and it was, what did I say in our first date? I said I told my husband, either I need a new therapist or a business coach. I can write the business coach off on my taxes. We're going to
Hmm.
do that one first and see how it goes,
Yeah,
because we all experienced such a shift. Entrepreneurs,
totally.
especially, a lot of people realized they needed to be entrepreneurs more, right? Because business wasn't the same anymore. I've noticed a lot of people tasted the freedom that I had already tasted from working for myself, right? All those people worked from home for the first time and couldn't figure it out, but then loved it. I'm like,
Hmm.
I've been in yoga pants for 10 years, guys. Join the party. Um, but it was
Same girl.
also like what what we used to do didn't work. Lots of pipelines dried up. We had poured our lives into one or two things. I had poured my life into one or two clients for
Right.
several
I
years.
remember.
And then that shifted after the
Yeah.
pandemic. And I thought, I've got to make sure this never happens again. Who
And
am I?
look at you now.
What do I do? I mean,
Oh my God.
there's still places to go, right? Like
Hmm.
there's still, this week I had oh man, what am I doing? I got to figure this out. I mean, I have that every 2 weeks, right? If you know me, it's to know that I'm really honest about the fact that I'm consistently questioning everything, right? Um, but so tell me, these women that you get to work with and these entrepreneurs that you get to work with, what do you really wish? And I mean, I have ideas of what you really wish because you've shared them with me and said, I think you should do this. But what do you really wish that we knew? and that we were confident in that we miss so often.
It's funny that you're asking this because I'm coming fresh off the heels of working with my Elevate Mastermind yesterday on quarterly planning. And one of the things that the most successful people I have worked with have really taken to heart, and Andrea, you're in that crowd, is they understand that this is a journey, and they understand that there is not an endpoint.
Mm-mm.
A lot of times we think when I hit this number, then I will be fulfilled, happy, enough. That's not the game we're playing. And this is a game.
Oh,
And
I love
so,
that you call it a game. I mean,
yeah,
I tell, like, everyone's like, don't play games. I'm like, oh no, everything's a game.
yeah,
Let's just figure out how to win it. Or
yeah.
play a
And
game
there's
we like.
exactly. And it's playfulness and joyfulness
Yeah.
and fun. And we can find that in our work for sure.
Mhm.
And so the most successful people I work with and the least successful people, on the converse of that or inverse of that, the most successful understand I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to have it all figured out today, but I do need to be consistent. The least successful people um, are typically highly distractible. They believe they are the exception to every rule. And, you know, they don't want to commit.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't care right now if we're talking about business or we're talking about any area of your life. Like you may know this, Andrea, I play like a ridiculous amount of pickleball.
You do.
Um, yeah, I've got a problem, everyone. I need like a 12-step program. And so, but it's so funny as I play that sport, how much of what I learn in sports applies to business.
Mhm.
It's all the same stuff.
Everything's the same. Yeah.
Consistency, drilling. And here's the real thing. Everybody who wants to be successful has to be committed to putting in the reps. And I mean that
Yeah, and
imperfectly.
it is hard.
Yeah.
That's not my nature, right? We've talked about this before, and I'm really honest with everyone I know about this. I am easily distractible. I am, I often think, well, let me see. It's easy for me to not be consistent, right? And
Mhm.
so in order for me to be successful, I've had to learn how to put in frameworks to make
Yes.
sure I do the reps, right?
Yeah.
I've had to do things that help me help myself, right? It's
Creating the
okay.
structures.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Creating the structures and with some flexibility. So I still
Yeah.
have some fun and I don't feel trapped and all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
But to have somebody who's not prone to consistency, who's easily distracted and always wants to take a nap, be self-employed, because that also is really good for me.
Yeah.
You got to figure some stuff out. You got to have some
Absolutely.
rules in place that you will actually follow, so that you do put in the reps and so that you do,
Absolutely.
I mean, I started the first podcast I did, I said, um, I was about to start this and I had major imposter syndrome and I thought this is stupid. What, no one's going to listen to this. I don't even know what I'm doing, like whatever. And then I remembered that one of the things I put in place for myself is I announce the things that I'm going to do before I do
I
them
love it.
publicly. So when you see me sometimes celebrate things on social media or do a countdown or whatever, it's because I am putting a rule on myself. I'm giving myself a guideline and a deadline and a timeline
I love
because
it.
I've learned that if I don't, because I also want to make sure public perception stays okay, right? I
Mhm.
might let myself down, but I'm not going to let the world down who sees
Mhm.
me. I've learned that thing. And so I announced the podcast was launching before I even downloaded the podcast recording
Oh
system
my
and
gosh.
talked about, and before I ordered the fancy mic. I announced that the podcast was starting because I had the idea for it. I had written the structure for it. I had a list of guests that I wanted
Yep.
to interview. I knew that it was a thing. I knew it was going to work, right?
Yep.
And and so when those moments came where I was distracted and not confident and thought, whatever, I had the framework in place, and it
I
was
love it. I love it. You were talking, I was writing something down to bring up. A lot of times we say like, or we hear people say, especially in like the field of entrepreneurship, like you've got to give 100%. And I really hate
don't have
this.
100% most
Yeah,
of the time.
because we don't. And sometimes like, and I think you know about this, like over the winter, like we were dealing with all kinds of family issues. My mom fell, she broke her hip. I had to
Mhm.
take care of my dad. There was like all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I could not give 100%. It was physically impossible. But here's how I like to reframe it. If there was a day where I could only give 10% to my business, I was going to give 100% of 10%.
Yes.
I was going to do the best I could
Yep.
with that sliver. And
Yep.
I think that for me,
So
it's
freeing.
about self-compassion,
Yeah.
right? Like going easier on ourselves. And so I offer that to our audience, is that it doesn't have to be 100% every day. And also, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, and
No.
I don't know any one of my clients who, when we talk, I don't know any one of my clients who's like, I'm doing 100% of what Laura says.
Going so great. I'm perfect all the time.
Yeah. Everything she says, I did perfectly,
Yeah.
always, all the time.
Who is that
It,
person anyway? I don't like her.
I,
I
that bitch,
I
no,
can't hang out with her.
no, she's so
She
unrelatable.
sounds judgy.
Yeah.
She's not gonna like me at all.
We're not having a
Like,
wine night with
I'm
her.
gonna be like, "You wanna go to lunch?"
No,
Don't
I
do
have
that
to do
thing.
all
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So, like, I don't expect that out of anyone. And that's a great thing about when we're consistent,
Mhm.
is like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
It just has to be consistent, and it can actually kind of suck. So I'm sorry. Can I just tell a little story?
Mhm.
Okay. Because this literally just happened about an hour ago.
Ooh, yay.
So one of my clients messaged me with a screenshot of a LinkedIn message that she had received. And she said, "Do you know this woman?" And I think she put like, those like big eye emojis,
Oh, yeah.
like that, like weird eye
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, what
What
is
the
this?
heck?
So I looked at it, and it's one of my, in air quotes, competitors.
Mm.
And I'm looking at this
We
message.
don't think there's any actual competitors. There's place for
That's true.
everyone. That's why the air
There is
quotes. There you go.
there is a space for everyone. That's why air quotes
Yeah,
around
yeah. Love
competitors.
it.
And I'm reading this message, and it is like coming out of the language of someone who has like an incurable case of verbal diarrhea. And I'm sorry.
I feel like it's not a good podcast unless somebody says diarrhea.
Does that happen on every episode?
No, that's never happened. This is my favorite day right now.
Okay, great. I always want to be the best. Anyway,
I
so
know, I know.
I would
Everyone's podcast is the best podcast.
exactly.
We're all the best.
So I'm reading this, and I'm like, yes, I know this person. And she is one of my in air quotes competitors. And
Mhm.
she says, my client says to me, I wonder how she expects to get clients. And is this actually what she teaches people to do?
Wow.
And I'm not trying to I'm not going to name who this is. I'm not going to
Right.
drag on anyone else publicly. That's not the point. The point is that this competitor, it was very clear, did not put in the
And we
reps.
all get those messages.
Yeah,
I mean,
she
I
didn't
get
put in the
one a
reps. She
day.
didn't practice.
Mhm.
She was out of practice, or she didn't know how to do it because it's always scary for people to do cold outreach.
Yeah.
And that's what that's kind of what, like, when we get rusty, when we aren't consistent,
Yep. Yeah.
that's what happens.
Well, and that happens to me all the time, right? I know how to do the reps in sales pieces. Whenever I start to, I know now in business or in life, right? Whenever I start to slack on the things that I know bring success to me as a person, to me as a mom, to me as a wife, to me as a business owner, whenever I slack on those things, I start to feel panicky. I start to
Mm.
feel a little scrappy, like, "Oh gosh, I gotta do some more things. What am I missing? What am I forgetting?" You start to feel that hustle, balls juggling, and I mean, that has been this week for me, where I'm you feel that scattered feeling, and
Yeah.
I realize, wait a minute, I'm not doing the basic things I know I'm supposed to do. And you do have to kind of restart, right?
Go back to
You
basics.
can't go all the way to the top again. If you go in and you lift a bunch of weights, that's not going to work. You're going to be
No,
really sore and drop something, right? You're going to pull a muscle. So
exactly.
I have had to, even just this week, go back to, okay, do one thing a day that
Yeah.
is focused on my business. Do one thing a day that is focused on myself. Do one thing a day that is focused on my kid. Like
I
little,
love that.
because otherwise you can't, I can't give 100%. And I even think, I don't know that I've ever verbalized it this way, but your whole like 100% for 10%.
Mhm.
What I do is very similar. It's, I will give 100% for 10 minutes or 1 hour. Like, I give myself time frames where I know,
I love
and
that.
for those, for anyone who's easily distractible and trying to, that's one of my derailers is, shiny, flashy objects and
Yeah.
or, like self-sabotage,
Yeah.
paralyzing, like just not doing anything. So I'll say, okay, from this time to this time, I get to do nothing. But then from this time to this time, boom, gotta go. Right?
You're very structured around like almost like the dopamine reward you're allowing yourself.
Have to.
And but that's really, this is incredibly resourceful. I hope people take that away from this today of how can I like give myself the reward?
Yeah, what works for you,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah,
love it.
that reward piece of it, whatever the reward is for you, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's I get more time to play with my dogs or, whatever that looks like for
Yeah.
you, I think that's so important for people. Okay, so we've got some time left. And I think maybe we'll just have to do this again. Maybe we make a Laura and Andrea series.
Oh my God.
I feel like this
You know
would be a
what? I
great.
would love that. I think it'd be really fun to field questions from people from our
Yes. Okay.
perspectives.
Maybe we put something out and then plan another day to answer
Yeah.
questions that people send in like in a month or so.
That'd be really,
Um,
because you have like the really great like PR media storytelling angle. And then I have like the business
yes.
sales, angle.
Yeah.
It's just really cool.
It's really all of business
Yeah,
right here,
that's
folks.
right.
You got everything you need right here, folks. So the podcast is It's Not Just a Tuesday, a funny name that really came because I started discovering that when I'm working with clients, when I'm talking to people, when I'm giving workshops, when I just want to know more about someone, I ask a lot of questions. Some of my what most people call quarterly brainstorming sessions or things like that in the PR world, I call let me come and poke at you. And I want to just come and ask you lots of questions, and some should make you feel uncomfortable. And I just want to know what's going on in everyone's life all the time. I'm in this business because I'm nosy.
Yeah.
But because I believe so truly that everyone has this cool story to tell every day, all the time, and usually we forget to tell them. And so in workshops, now on this podcast, I'm in real time, I'm saying to folks, pull your calendar out and look at last Tuesday, next Tuesday. If by chance it's not a Tuesday, I don't care. Look at a day. Last Tuesday is usually the easy thing. And what did you do? What was on your calendar? What did you talk about that was on your calendar? And what maybe did you only tell a close friend? But if you look at it through the lens of, why did I do this? Why do I love
Mm,
this? What is about this thing on my calendar that made it on my calendar? That usually is a really cool part of your story that people forget to tell. So Laura is going to tell us what is on her Tuesday.
okay. So I'm looking at my calendar right now, and this was actually a very busy Tuesday. So I had, as part of my mastermind, I offer unlimited coaching with me. So I actually had 4 of my clients that day to talk with. Um, and all on different issues. So it's not like
Mhm.
there's like
Right.
one thing we talked about with everyone. But for a couple of them, what we were talking about is, and Andrea knows this, when you work with me long enough and you do the work consistently enough, we get out of the how do I get more clients mode and into how do I manage my time and energy and create more spaciousness
Yeah.
in my life and like think about this in ways like, okay, I've got clients, it's good.
Yeah.
Like how like now we move to the next level. And
Yeah.
so a couple of these conversations were about that, which was
Uh,
really nice. Um I also had we had my mastermind call that day as well. And I'm actually trying to remember what we talked about on the call.
it was
Like,
last Tuesday. It's never easy to remember. It's okay.
I know, like, what did we talk about? Um, but those calls are very, what I love about this, and actually what I just in general love about my work day this past Tuesday is I realize I loved every call I had. Like, I don't ever
That
feel
is
like I get on a
important.
call and I'm like, oh gosh, darn it. Like,
That's
I
huge.
never feel that way.
That's huge. Like,
Yeah. And so, like, this was a busy day for me, but it was a great day. And so yeah, I loved it. And then and then you know who I talked to in the afternoon? I talked to my homegirl Brenda Miller.
oh, hey, shout
Has
out
she been on the
Brenda.
show yet?
She hasn't. I need to get her. I need to align with her.
Brenda, Brenda, get on it. Okay.
That's good.
So I talked to Brenda because I'm doing something for her. And Brenda's a LinkedIn strategist for those of you who don't know her. She's the queen of LinkedIn.
I've worked with Brenda as well. I send my clients to her who want to take the next level. A lot of we help manage some folks LinkedIn, but I when I meet with Brenda, it's hey, help me, and
Yeah.
this will trickle down for the people that we manage their stuff. So
Yeah,
she is the queen of LinkedIn.
she is. So I did that.
Love it.
Then I went to I like I've mentioned earlier in the show, I love pickleball.
Yes.
So I actually had a private lesson on Tuesday night, and that was about 2 hours long. And what was actually really cool about that is even though I'm a business advisor or business coach, there are so many parallels that I can see between sports coaching and business coaching.
For
And
sure.
so, yeah. And so, like, I go to get coached for in a sports aspect, but I learn a lot about other techniques people
That's so
use.
cool.
And so it was a really fun night that just enriches me physically and personally, but also allows me to take things away that I'm sure I'll integrate with my own clients.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is a packed Tuesday. I
It
love
was
that.
busy.
I love that. And that's actually, I mean, it's the perfect example to me of one of the things that I try to help people with when I'm talking about authentic branding and all of that, right? That Tuesday could be a month's worth of content sharing, right? That Tuesday, if you think about the things that you just shared with me, right? In breaking down, how do I let people know who I am? So that when they come to
Mm,
me or when I call them, I know in a minute how to do that. But also, how do I have a brand established, right?
yeah.
Like, you know, meeting with your folks and talking about this is what we talked about and this is what I love and this is how they're going to strategize. There's a nugget, right?
Hmm.
Talking about how passionate you are in your work and the fact that you can do a work day and feel that you love it and you're
Yeah.
pumped, like that's what makes you unique. That's what's special about you. You love being able to help to just rally women and say, giddy
I
up,
love it.
right? And I think that, but again, you're in the thick of it. It's a Tuesday. You might not think, man, I got to post about my mastermind
Exactly.
and all of that. You don't think about those things. Or the fact that at pickleball you're taking notes that are helping
Yes.
business, right?
Yeah.
That's I mean, those are those little nuggets that it's why it's not just a Tuesday, right? It's why it really is so much more impactful if you think about it as part of strategy.
Hmm.
And not in a not in a fake way, right? I'm
Totally.
always telling people, like, I'm not trying to tell you to, like, this isn't, curate an Instagram photo, right? It's not fake. That's why I tell people, like, I say, look at your actual Tuesday. Don't create a Tuesday
Mhm.
that you can share,
For social media,
right?
just share
Don't
what's
do
actually
that.
happening.
Do your life, but do your life with intentionally looking at your life to talk
Mhm.
about it, because that's where the stories connect people. People want to work with people.
With
And
humans.
yes, with humans and with
Yes.
people who are passionate and good at what they do. So I love that. I absolutely love that. And I
Can I
know
share
you're
one
really
more
good at
thing,
sharing.
Andrea?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is like the world's longest podcast
It's totally
episode, but
fine.
we're together. I can't stop. Um, so I want to share something because I'll make this a post. I'll make
Okay.
this a post, but I want to share one of the things I learned in my pickleball that I then directly applied to my clients because it's so
Love it.
true.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm working on in sports is this concept of slowing down,
Mm.
not speeding up, but slowing down.
Mhm.
And often when we are in anything, could be business and we're learning a new skill, like I'm learning how to slow down, someone else is learning how to write a proposal, someone's
Mhm.
learning how to do social media or PR.
Mhm.
um while we're learning the new skill,
Mhm.
we can actually regress and do worse.
Hmm.
And this is a common business theme. It's called regression,
Yeah.
where as we're learning new things,
I
we
feel like
will
that's a common life theme, right?
we'll temporarily get worse because we're so focused on trying to do the new thing
Yeah.
and try to figure it out in like a better way that at first it will appear like it's worse.
Mhm.
But this is just like, imagine if we're climbing a mountain. And you know, when you're climbing a really steep mountain, you have to do the switchbacks.
Oh, right.
And all this is for people, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to integrate this stuff, but I'm not getting better, I'm not seeing improvement, you're just on the switchback right now that's turned back the other way. You're still going up,
Oh, that's so good.
but you're just turned the other way, and soon you're going to turn back. And so that is one of the things that I learned through my own coach. And it's one of the things that I teach to my clients.
Right.
And that actual analogy I just gave you is, as I was teaching this to one of my clients, is one of the analogies she offered to us.
Wow.
I know.
That's so cool. Because I mean, and that you're right. All of life like merges together with the
Yeah.
practices that work. I love that. Oh, there's a puppy. He's done with
That's Teddy. Sorry, everyone.
he's done with this podcast too. Stop
Teddy.
talking, ladies. Thank you. That is really good. And well, and I even think about that in if you're cleaning out a closet, everybody knows you got to get everything out first, right? Everything gets messier before it
It's a
gets.
little messy, and
Yeah.
that's okay. And like, you might feel like it's not going well.
Yeah.
Stay consistent.
Yeah. And you'll get to
Stay
the
consistent, to go back to that.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Don't give up.
Right.
And you're gonna hit the other
Right.
switchback.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's really good. See, oh man, Tuesdays are important.
I love
I mean, all the
Tuesdays.
days are important. Thank you so much for taking some time. I will definitely do this again. Thank you, Laura,
Oh, thanks for having me.
for being here and sharing with us some of your insights and just hanging out with me for a little bit. I will make sure to share your information with folks. So if people want to get in touch with you, they can. I can personally say that, just checking in with Laura as a business coach is really pivotal and helps you kind of pave the way for how to make business grow and not feel like you're really scrapping. And so I've loved that. Thank you for spending a little time with me.
I love it.
It's not just a Tuesday. We'll see you on a different Tuesday.